morning, and welcome to Morning Movie News, a day where the sun rose on a world where Leonardo DiCaprio is probably going to have an Oscar. Yes, that was the delightful turn of events last night, Saturday night at the SAG Awards, and Leonardo DiCaprio fans went crazy because all the stars seem to have finally aligned for the big win at the end of February. Because, see, while he has plenty of Golden Globes awards already, and he won this year as well, he's never won the SAG Award. And that's really been the obstacle that's kept him from going all the way at the Oscars as well. At this point, if Leonardo DiCaprio were not to win Best Actor at the Oscars, it would be like a Mickey Rourke level snub. It would be shocking. Whoever won in his place would have to comment on it, just as Sean Penn did when he took Mickey Rourke's Oscar. Although Leonardo DiCaprio will not go away as Mickey Rourke did. But I think at this point, it's pretty much a given, and so get ready to enjoy whatever Leo's speech will be. I'm sure he wrote it a long time ago. He just makes edits every year to update it. But get excited to hear whatever he has to say on Oscar night. Then there was some other big news out of the SAG Awards. We'll get to the really big news in just a moment, but first let's touch briefly, although some people are like, we already talked about the big news, right? It was Leo's win. But no, there was an even bigger story to come out of the SAG Awards. But the first thing we need to talk about is that Spotlight took the award for Best Picture, their Best Picture equivalent. But it's not... usually that's a pretty big indicator as to what's going to happen at the Oscars. However, a number of the films that were nominated here for Best Picture aren't nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars and vice versa. So it's a little less telling than usual. But it was a much needed win for Spotlight at all. Spotlight has been big on nominations, not big on wins this year. So I think that's very encouraging for that picture. And I guess it is an ensemble picture, so to win Best Ensemble makes sense to some degree. But here's the really big story, and that's that a lot of people felt that the wins at the SAG Awards were a knee-jerk reaction to White Out 2 with the Oscar nominations. That basically, the SAG voters decided to take it upon themselves to right an evil wrong and vote for all the African-American black actors, because obviously Idris Elba, the big winner of the night, is not African-American. He's from the UK, to give them the win. And I think this begins, is the beginning of people saying, oh, well, I hope you like your award. You didn't deserve it. Now, I think that's kind of mean to say to Idris Elba, because he was nominated in 2 categories before the whole whiteout thing happened. And also, I think that the reason he won probably maybe had a little something to do with the whole whiteout situation, but I wouldn't also undercut the influence that his speech to Parliament recently, that he recently gave, would have had on this outcome. That was an amazing speech. It blew my mind. It was just kind of like the speech where you're like, you're a great person, Idris Elba. I mean, a lot of us felt that before, but now we had proof that you're not only a great actor, but you're just a great human being. I said it was up there with Lana Wachowski's speech about transgenderism, gender identity, and just working in Hollywood in general that she gave a few years ago. I think Idris Elba's speech was that good. So I think that's probably a big part of why he walked away with not only Best Supporting Actor for Beasts of No Nation, where he's not nominated, by the way, for the Oscars, so that category is still wide open in that race, but then also, he took for Luther, so in television, he won on the big and the small screen. Now, the really nice thing is that hopefully this will finally help Idris Elba's career kick into high gear. He's just been waiting on the sidelines to take it to the next level for a very long time. Hopefully he'll get that Dark Tower deal all sewn up that he's in talks for with Matthew McConaughey. He'll be in his magical Stephen King Western, and I think that could, like magic like as in Magicians, not just in quality. And I think that would be really great for him. Akiva Goldsman's writing it, though, so that's a little bit of a stumbling block. But still, I think this is, very exciting for Idris Elba, and the offers to him should be coming, pouring in this morning from, different producers who want him in their projects, which should have been the case to begin with. But anyway, I digress. So I think that, this is I think there are a lot of bad developments coming out of the whole whiteout scandal, and, not the good ones that we wanted. I mean, I think to some degree, I think the voting changes were a very good development to the Oscars, but I think, saying that people are not deserving of the awards they're winning is, kind of a bad development, and, a refocusing on slavery movies isn't a great development. We just want to push forward into new terrain and, diversity. On a side note, Hollywood Reporter had, an editorial, and someone said, maybe there would be more, black, quote-unquote, black nominations at the Oscars if there was a black version of Joy and a black version of The Revenant. Where are those movies? And I was like, oh my God, Obviously, there shouldn't be a black version of anything. There shouldn't be a white version of anything. The world that we live in is diverse, and there should be diverse opportunities in the same projects for different types of actors of different genders and ethnicities. Sure, some projects skew one way or another, but, segregating movies is not the way to go. I just think that would be just a horrible development. It's like Hollywood not only created this problem, but has obviously very few ideas on how to fix it. So I'm curious, what did you think of the SAG Awards? Did you like who they chose? How did you feel about Leo? Are you excited for him to finally win his Oscar? Do you feel it's a given as well? And then also, what do you think of Spotlight winning? Do you think Spotlight deserves to be more in the race than it is for award season? And then with this, Idris Elba's double win, Viola Davis also won. You had some wins from The Orange is the New Black. Do you feel this was just a knee-jerk reaction to the whiteouts scandal with the Oscars, or do you feel these people are actually deserving of their awards? And also, what do you think of how Hollywood has handled the controversy? And do you like the answers that the questions that they're posing to try and solve this? All right, so the second story of the day is about the Super Bowl. And believe it or not, it's this coming Sunday. Horribly advertised. Hardly anyone knows the Super Bowl is coming. I'll be interested to see what the ratings are. But as always, there are a lot of movie trailers that are going to debut on game night. And I'll be covering them. I'm very excited. But interestingly enough, there doesn't seem to be a lot of new content for us to look forward to. So here are the headlines coming out of the Super Bowl. The big one is Deadpool, so we're going to save him for last. But the biggest is that the Bourne 5 trailer will debut. Not only will we get our first look at the movie, but we'll get it might debut. I'd be curious to see if it debuts during the game or like a couple days before the game. There's sometimes ads appear a little bit early to try and break out from the crowd, but we'll see. I think Bourne 5 is so hotly anticipated it can debut on game day and get a lot of attention. But it's going to not only have our first look at the movie, but it's going to reveal the title. Bourne what? Is it the Bourne Ultimatum, the Bourne Supremacy, etc., etc.? We're going to find out. So that's very exciting. Then Disney has a spot, or at least one spot. The spots are going for like $5 million a piece. These are the most expensive Super Bowl spots they've ever had. That's for 30 seconds, no less. So it'll be interesting. Last year, studios had a 30-second spot that aired during the game, and then they had a longer trailer that debuted online. So it'll be interesting to see what the strategy is this year. But so Disney has a spot, but we don't know if they're going to use it for a Marvel movie. They have the Jungle Book coming sooner. They have Alice in Wonderland, Through the Looking Glass, of course, on their plate. They have a couple of movies they need to promote, and Civil War might not be, their top priority at the moment. They better get on that, though, because as many of you have been sending me, there's articles coming out that Warner Brothers has far more social engagement with their movies, their DC movies, than the Disney Marvel movies do, like 500% more interaction. So get on it, Disney. But anyway, Warner Brothers, speaking of Warner Brothers, they'll be sitting out the Super Bowl. They haven't purchased any spots as of now. Fox said, at the last, oh no, it's CBS is airing it. CBS said, at the last minute, we always get a couple of, studios coming to us going like, okay, I'll pay for my movie. It needs help. So they said, there could be a couple last minute entries, but as of now, Warner Brothers is sitting out game day. They had a huge, blitz themselves with the DC special on the CW just like a few weeks ago. So they don't really need game day. But there's something to be said for sitting out the Super Bowl, right? I mean, the Super Bowl is a big deal. It's like disrespecting the Super Bowl. But anyway, then Deadpool. Fox's marketing department is on fire. I have not seen a marketing department this in the zone probably ever. I mean, I think Disney obviously does a good job again and again and again, but Fox is like on point. And they're not only on point, they're creative. So this is what they're doing at the Super Bowl. They're kind of turning it into Comic-Con. They're not just airing a spot for Deadpool, but they are taking over the Super Bowl and the city in California where this is taking place. Again, like Comic-Con. They're having on-the-ground events. Also, they're going to be promoting Eddie the Eagle there apparently as well. But this is what's going on for Deadpool. On Friday, Ryan Reynolds will have a food truck, and he will personally be handing out chimichangas, Deadpool's favorite food, to those in the area. Then the junket for the film is taking place at the Super Bowl, and TJ Miller and Ryan Reynolds will be tending bar while they give interviews and, basically interacting and being funny. We'll see how that turns out. I don't know if that'll make for the best interviews, but it's a good stunt. Then they're going to have the screening at an IMAX theater in California. That's the junket screening, so they're doing that. I'm sure they're going to invite lots of fans as well. And then on Super Bowl day, obviously they're going to really take over and try and really make this a big event. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see a couple of other surprises from Fox about Deadpool. Incredibly smart. I don't know what the heck's going on with the Zoolander 2 marketing team. They are majorly dropping the ball. Talk about a fumble, a world-class fumble. And this, of course, is the weekend right before Deadpool hits theaters. And I think this is an amazing blitz. I mean, just one of the best. This is shocking to watch. It's like textbook. People will study this ad campaign for years to come if it delivers on the 12th. But anyway, that's the second story of the day. And I'm curious, what do you think? Do you think the Super Bowl is still an important day to advertise a movie? What trailers are you the most excited about? And do you have your Deadpool tickets already? Now, the third story of the day, speaking about tickets, is about a new ticketing app that's trying to really compete with Fandango. Now, Fandango is the biggest name in the game right now. There's movietickets.com, but Fandango is not only the biggest name in the game right now, but they're being very aggressive themselves. They have a lot of, they have their own think tank that I think Jason Blum sits on, the producer of those horror movies, to try and come up with interesting things that Fandango can do to enhance your movie-going experience. Like, for instance, that poll they recently took, just to get, top movies of 2016 that people are excited about. It's really just to get the Fandango name out there and for people to see it, so you get that brand recognition. But they're the only name in the game, so obviously someone says, well, let's create a Pepsi to their Coke. So the name of this Pepsi is going to be Atom Tickets, and Atom Tickets is off to a very good start. They have a $50 million round of funding from 3 Hollywood studios, $50 million total. Lionsgate, Disney, and Fox have invested in them, and this is what makes Atom Ticket supposedly special, Atom Tickets. So Atom Tickets is what they're going to do is are not only going to sell you movie tickets, but they're going to allow you to do group purchases individually. That meaning one person has to buy tickets for the entire group of people. And they're going to allow you to do it through social media. So you can go into Atom Tickets, buy your tickets for, let's say, Deadpool, and then you can go and tell all your friends, hey, I'm going to see this showing. Atom Tickets will allow you to purchase the tickets at the same showing, maybe sit near me, etc., etc. But then you might be like, well, Fandango asks me if I want to share my movie time on my social media as well. Big whoop. Well, Atom Tickets is taking it a step further, and if there are enough of you going to a movie that they feel could use the extra viewers, they will give you a discount. So they're going to try and maybe make it like Groupon, right? Groupon for movies. So they'll give you a discount to the movie itself, and they'll also potentially give you a discount to the concession stand as well. Then, if there are movies that perhaps aren't doing well at certain showtimes, like they're like, man, everyone's seeing Deadpool in the evening, but these matinees are suffering, they will give you a discount to go to a matinee to try and move the audience around, or incentivize people to maybe go who wouldn't go if they can go for a cheaper price point. Now, I don't like this idea. I think if you're really into movies, you'd be like, well, will the app also tell me what movies these big groups are going to so that I could I can avoid those showtimes, right? It sounds pretty awful to me to be in a movie theater with like a huge group of people who are all, by the way, very active on their phones, right? I mean, talk about a group that probably will not turn their phone off for the movie and then go and sit there and probably talk to each other and talk through the whole movie. I mean, imagine when you go to a movie and a school group shows up, right? You're like, oh my God, what fresh hell is this? I'm already in my seat. I don't want to switch movie times. I can't believe this has happened to me. So again, if it could notify me that a large group is attending, then maybe I would be also into Atom Tickets as well. But the other thing is that the only time it would be cool for a big group to go would be for the big event movies, right? Like if a bunch of people want to go and see like Suicide Squad, they're all going to be probably pretty attentive to the movie because it's a big event. But that movie doesn't need the help with the discounts. So I think Atom Tickets that's not really the point it would serve. But even worse, if let's say for like the Finest Hours, they're like, do you want to see the Finest Hours for half price? Like 20 of you? The 20 people will go, sure, I'd love to see it for half price. Then they'll get there. They'll be like, you know what? I never was really into this movie in the first place. I'm here with 19 of my other friends. Let's talk or be on our phones. And it would just make seeing the Finest Hours horrible. It would be so bad. So I actually think this is a horrible idea, and I think that Hollywood continues to not understand that social media and movies don't mix during the movie. It's a little bit like when the movie theater was like, let's make showtimes where we encourage you to tweet and be on your phone. And you're like, are you insane? So I'm curious, do any of you disagree with me? Or any of you like, I love that idea, sign me up, I think that $50 million investment, can I get in on that? I think this is going to be huge. Or, do you agree with me? All right, so those are the 3 stories of the day. Now, the viewer question comes from Weebach A, and Weebach has been very polite and persistent with this question. I saw it in several episodes, so I was like, gotta answer it. So Weebach said, question, Greetings from the UK, Grace. Been watching your videos for over 2 years now, and I love it. You're my #1 YouTube subscription. That makes me so happy, Weebok. So we actually have a number of viewers in the UK, so hello to my friends across the pond. So Weebok says, my question is about the relationship between the UK and Hollywood. I was reading an article about the lack of clear identity of the British film industry and how it has been heavily incorporated into Hollywood. British talent seems to be flourishing in Hollywood, and Hollywood is opting to use the UK as its production home, with major movies like Age of Ultron and The Force Awakens being filmed here. Do you think this could have implications with studios based in LA? Warner Brothers already has their own studio near London. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. 4 smiley faces and an exclamation mark. Well, Weebok, I think that your question is excellent, and I do think that the British film industry has always had a little bit of a problem differentiating itself from Hollywood, which is problematic, but at the same time, not problematic, because they're a major source of talent for Hollywood, and so that creates great opportunities for the UK. For instance, wonderful directors like, say, David Lean. You haven't lived till you've watched a David Lean adaptation of, I believe, of a Charles Dickens movie. I think he did Great Expectations. I think that's the one that he did. Or Oliver, he did one of them. He's great. David Lean's a fantastic director. I mean, like, you know his big work, like Lawrence of Arabia and stuff like that, Bridge Over the River Kwai, Dr. Zhivago. But if you really want to be blown away, watch one of his smaller films from earlier in his career, and you'll see the talent is there, even in black and white. Yes, it's a black and white movie, but I'm telling you, go watch it. But anyway, David Lean, fantastic. So, you know, it's allowed a lot of British talent to flourish, where talent from other countries hasn't had quite the same opportunity. I think, obviously, because there's no language barrier. But yes, the UK has not really created its own, British film industry that really can stand on its own. I mean, we can easily identify UK talent, but they don't really have their own thing. Daniel Radcliffe very admirably tried to fix that. And I think the Harry Potter movies did to some degree as well, only really hiring UK talent. And so I think that was quite commendable. It hasn't really worked out for Daniel Radcliffe. He's kind of let go of that goal because it hasn't worked out, and he really at this point has to work on fixing his career. Although he just makes so many bad choices, I don't know if it's possible. But anyway, I'd be curious, though, if any of you want to see a British film industry emerge. I don't know, really, at the end, if it would be worth sacrificing the very strong connection with Hollywood. Although I do think that a number of Americans feel, why doesn't American talent get more of a chance? That's because the British film schools are regarded so highly. And America is a little light on acting schools that are the caliber of the multiple ones they have in the UK. Also, it's easier, to go, like, there's more of like a system that's already in place in the UK. You go to these drama schools, then you go get an agent, then you go and do some theater, and then you come to Hollywood. It's like a path that's already been established. It's a well-beaten path. But in the United States, it's all over the place. There's all kinds of different ways you could go to Hollywood, and people rarely do the same way twice. Except for maybe like the Disney Channel. But anyway, and Nickelodeon. But anyway, I think that I think that there's like a cachet to it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with this connection. I think it's quite nice. The only thing is the absence of an identity for the British film industry. And also, of course, Leavesden and Pinewood. Those are the two like iconic movie studios. And also because there's so much talent in the UK, it's cheaper. It's very expensive to pay to house talent. So if all your talent's located in the UK, why not just shoot your movie there? It's a lot easier, and then you don't have to pay for everyone for their room and board and air travel, or going back and forth for the holidays or their time off to go back to London. So I think that's probably where it started. And then, of course, now they have these huge studios that already exist, and they're, and also everybody wants to shoot there. It's kind of like going away to movie camp if you're an American. So I think it's a great system. I think it's really wonderful. I think that both sides have benefited, and I think the only casualty has been the British film industry. And I think as an American, I'm okay with that. But I'd be curious to know how other people from the UK feel about it. I would imagine you can't feel that bad because you have such a great inroad to Hollywood. It's like, why would you close that off just to have, something, we'll see how China and India do as they step up their game and start getting more movies into the top 10. But right now, I don't see any problem whatsoever. All right, so that's today's morning movie news. Thank you for your question, Weebok. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please write down below what you think of today's top 3 stories and that viewer question. Anything you'd like to see covered tomorrow, and any questions that you might have. Thanks for watching. Bye.